What killed America's presidents? Was it disease, cherries, or just being old? Let's go through how they died and what their last words were. Spoiler: one guy just complimented his soup. First up, George Washington. Yes, the guy on the water bill died because his throat swelled up after riding horses in the freezing cold. Back then, doctors treated him by draining 2.5 liters of his blood. Genius. Doctors back then believed letting your blood out could cure anything. Spoiler: it didn't. It just made George even worse. His final words? "'Tis well," which is old school for, "This sucks, but I accept it." Think Washington's death was dramatic. Get this, John Adams and Thomas Jefferson, the second and third presidents of the US, both died on July 4th. Same year, same day. What are the odds? Jefferson was sick with everything from pneumonia to kidney failure. But on July 3rd, he asked, "Is it the 4th yet?" When told no, he literally held on one more day, just to make it poetic. His last words? "No doctor, nothing more." Meanwhile, hundreds of miles away, John Adams had no idea Jefferson just died. Lying peacefully, he said, "Thomas Jefferson survives." Well, about that, James Madison, aka the father of the Constitution, almost made it into the July 4th death club. Doctors tried to keep him alive for the big day. He refused. Nothing more than a change of mind, my dear. And then, James Monroe actually did it. The third president to die on July 4th. His last words? Not about the Constitution. They were about his bestie, Madison. "I regret that I should leave this world without again beholding him." Most presidents retire after office, not John Quincy Adams. He went back to work in Congress and literally died on the House floor after yelling, "No." He was carried out unconscious, but still managed one poetic final line. "This is the last of Earth. I am content." Dude went out like Shakespeare. Andrew Jackson was built different. He fought duels, survived an assassination attempt, and literally beat a guy with a cane. But in the end, it was tuberculosis, not bullets, that took him down. For a guy who once said, "I have only two regrets. I didn't hang Calhoun, and I didn't shoot Clay," his last words were surprisingly soft. "Oh, do not cry. We shall all meet in heaven." Martin Van Buren wasn't in any duels. He had asthma, heart issues, and a very fancy house. He passed away peacefully. And his final words? "There is but one reliance." Probably about God, but maybe soup. William Henry Harrison holds the record. Shortest presidency ever, 31 days. Why? Because he gave a 2-hour speech in the freezing rain, without a coat. That's not bravery. That's a respiratory disaster. Everyone thought he died from pneumonia. But plot twist, he got sick 3 weeks later. Turns out, it might have been the White House plumbing, typhoid or septic shock from gross water. Yes, the president died from the toilet. When Harrison died, John Tyler got promoted. But don't expect a national funeral. He sided with the Confederacy and joined their government. So when he died, the US didn't even fly flags at half-mast. Tyler had dizzy spells, and then a stroke. Before he went out, he said, "Perhaps it is best." Even history seemed to agree. James Polk died just 3 months after leaving office. Cause of death? Cholera, a nasty disease that gives you, let's just say, explosive symptoms. But even in that condition, his final words were for his wife. "I love you, Sarah, for all eternity." Romantic and messy. President Taylor went out in the most unexpected way. He ate a big bowl of raw cherries and washed it down with milk. In the blazing summer heat of DC, 3 days later, gone. That's some deadly fruit salad. After Taylor's cherry explosion, his VP Millard Fillmore stepped up. He lived a nice long life until a stroke took him down. His final words? "The nourishment is palatable." Translation: soup's good. Franklin Pierce had one of the saddest runs ever. Right before taking office, his young son was killed in a train crash. Pierce never recovered. He drank. A lot. Liver gone. Career gone. He died. Alone. No one even wrote down his final words. Then came James Buchanan, a man who watched the Civil War coming and did absolutely nothing. When he died, some say it was pneumonia. Others think it was from a weird hotel plague. Either way, his last words? "O Lord God Almighty, as thou wilt." And then came the legend. Abraham Lincoln. He ended slavery, won the Civil War, went to the theater for one relaxing night, and was shot in the back of the head. His last words weren't about freedom or peace. He was just comforting his wife. She won't think anything of it. After Lincoln, Andrew Johnson took over. Congress tried to impeach him. Years later, he had a stroke while visiting family. With half his body paralyzed, he muttered, "I need no doctor. I can overcome my own troubles." Confident. But no, sir. General. Hero. President. Ulysses S. Grant defeated the Confederacy. But after his presidency, he lost all his money in a Ponzi scheme. And then, throat cancer. He spent his last days writing memoirs just to save his family from poverty. His final word? Water. Brutal. Rutherford B. Hayes died of heart failure at 70. Not super dramatic, but sweet. His last words were about his wife, Lucy, who passed before him. "I know that I'm going where Lucy is." James Garfield got shot, but not fatally. The bullet didn't hit any vital organs. He should have lived. But doctors poked around with unwashed hands, pierced his liver, and gave him a bunch of infections. Yep, Garfield died from bad medical care. His final words? "Can't you stop the pain?" Chester A. Arthur quietly died of kidney failure. No fanfare, no drama. No one even remembered his last words until much later. They were dark. Life is not worth living. Grover Cleveland served 2 non-consecutive terms. A rare political comeback. He died at 71, quietly. His final words were simple and honest. "I have tried so hard to do right." Benjamin Harrison, grandson of that other Harrison who died from talking in the rain, caught the flu. Then it turned into pneumonia. Then his lungs just quit. His final words? "Are there any doctors here?" "Doctor." "My lungs." Too late, man. William McKinley loved meeting people, until one of them pulled out a gun and shot him in the stomach. Doctors couldn't find the bullet, so gangrene won. His final words? "God's will be done, not ours," said to his wife. Gentleman till the end. Teddy Roosevelt was an absolute beast. He got shot in the chest, then gave an 84-minute speech anyway, with the bullet still in him. He died years later, peacefully, in bed. His final words? "Put out the light." Like a bedtime mic drop. Taft is famous for getting stuck in a bathtub. But that's not how he died. He actually lost a lot of weight, but the damage was done. Heart failure took him out. Last words? Unknown. So let's just imagine. Tell them I fit. Woodrow Wilson had a massive stroke while in office. He spent his final years paralyzed and quiet. His last words? "I am a broken piece of machinery. I am ready." Sad, accurate, robotic. Warren G. Harding had a stressful presidency, full of scandals. So he went on a national tour to fix his reputation. But while listening to his wife read the newspaper in bed, he had a heart attack, mid-sentence. "That's good. Go on, read some more." Calvin Coolidge was famously quiet, so when he died suddenly at age 60, someone joked, "How can they tell?" His final words? Just a polite, "Good morning, Robert." Herbert Hoover lived to age 90, the second president ever to reach that milestone. But by the end, he was too weak to speak. So no last words were recorded, just peaceful silence. FDR was elected 4 times, led the country through WW and the Great Depression. But during a quiet moment, posing for a portrait, he suddenly said, "I have terrific pain in the back of my head," then collapsed from a massive stroke. Harry Truman outlived FDR and served through the end of WO. He lived to 88, but in his final days, multiple organs failed. He slipped into a coma and never woke up. No last words. Dwight D. Eisenhower, war hero, president, and golf lover, spent his final days in the hospital after multiple heart attacks. His last words? "I want to go. God, take me." Clear, direct, presidential. JFK, young, bold, and full of charm, was shot in broad daylight during a parade in Dallas. His last words weren't deep, just casual banter to his wife. "No, you certainly can't." Right before the gunfire, LBJ took over after JFK and ruled big. But his heart? Not so strong. He died of a massive heart attack at his Texas ranch. Last words? "Send Mike immediately," referring to his Secret Service agent. But it was too late. Watergate, resignation, stress on top of stress. Richard Nixon had a stroke at home, collapsed, and shouted, "Help!" Simple, desperate, human. He slipped into a coma and never woke up. Gerald Ford lived to 93, the oldest president ever at the time. He passed peacefully at home, surrounded by family. No final words were shared publicly. But hey, he earned the nap. So there you have it, from soup to assassination, from cherries to bathtub rumors. This is how every US president passed on, and the last thing they ever said, or didn't. Some went out like warriors, some like poets, some just really liked soup. Like this wild ride through presidential history? Hit that like, subscribe, and ring the Liberty Bell. Ding, for more history with a side of fun. Captain Eagle, out.